Shalom, my friends. I invite you to sit with me for a moment. What if I told you that King Solomon's legendary wealth wasn't just about the quantity of gold in his vaults, but about the quality of the spiritual system he used to attract it? What if the secret to enduring abundance wasn't a financial strategy, but a sacred technology of the soul? We live in a world that shouts about hustle, about metrics, about relentless growth. I know that world. I lived in it for 40 years. I built businesses from the ground up. I rode the exhilarating highs of market booms and weathered the bone-chilling lows of recessions. I achieved the success I was told to chase, the kind that fills a bank account, but can leave the heart feeling strangely empty. In the quiet moments, after the big deals were closed and the applause faded, I felt a hollowness, a spiritual malnourishment that no amount of material success could satisfy. It was in that quiet crisis, that crucible of the soul, that I turned away from the noise of ambition and inward, toward the whispers of my heritage. I immersed myself in the wisdom of our sages, the profound ethics of the prophets, the clear-eyed rationalism of Maimonides, the mystical depths of the Kabbalah. And there, I discovered that our tradition has always possessed a sophisticated understanding of wealth, one that has little to do with accumulation and everything to do with circulation, gratitude, and alignment. Today, I want to share with you 10 ancient Jewish blessings, powerful spoken formulas that have transformed how generations attract and experience true abundance. This isn't about superstition, it's about spiritual physics. It is about rewiring your mind from a place of scarcity to a state of grace. The Jewish view distinguishes between Asher, which is material wealth, and Barakah, which is blessing or true abundance. Asher can be counted, but Barakah is a flow, a sense of being provided for, of living in a state of divine favor and sufficiency. You can be wealthy but lack blessing, feeling anxious and insecure. Or you can have modest means, but be filled with Barakah, feeling secure, grateful, and expansive. These blessings are the keys to cultivating Barakah. Modern neuroscience is just now catching up to this ancient wisdom, showing us how practices of gratitude and focused intention, which is what these blessings are, can literally rewire the neural pathways in our brain, shifting us out of a constant fight-or-flight mode of scarcity and into a more creative, open, and receptive state of being. I had a mentee, a brilliant young man in the tech industry, who was earning a fortune but suffering from severe anxiety. He saw every market fluctuation as a threat, every competitor as an enemy. I didn't give him financial advice. I gave him a single blessing to say each morning. A few months later, he called me, Solomon. He said, "My portfolio is the same, but I feel like the richest man in the world." He hadn't changed his assets, he had changed his operating system. That is the power we are going to unlock today. So I ask you, as we begin this journey, which blessing do you feel you need most in your financial life right now? The one for a new beginning, the one for overcoming a setback? Comment below, and let's begin this work together. Let us begin with the foundation, the master key that unlocks all the others. It is often the first line of any formal Jewish blessing, and its power lies in its profound reorientation of the self. The first blessing, Baruch atah Adonai, on-screen text. It translates to, "Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe." This is not merely a rote opening. It is a declaration that shifts your entire universe. Before you look at your needs, your desires, your portfolio, your problems, you first acknowledge a source. You declare that you are not the center of the universe, but a participant in a grand, unfolding creation that is itself a blessing. I remember my father, a tailor with calloused hands and a quiet faith. He was not a wealthy man by any worldly standard. Every morning, he would rise before the sun, pour a simple cup of black coffee, and before taking the first sip, he would stand by the window and whisper, "Baruch atah Adonai." He was blessing the source of the coffee, yes, but more than that, he was blessing the source of the morning, the life in his body, the world outside his window. His day did not begin with a review of his ledger, but with an act of reverence. I can tell you, in my years meeting titans of industry plagued by sleepless nights, my father with his simple coffee was the wealthier man. He possessed a richness of spirit that they were desperately chasing. So, here's the practical application for your life. Before your feet hit the floor in the morning, or at the very least, before your fingers touch the screen of your phone, pause. Do not check your email, your bank account, or the market futures. Those things immediately pull you into a world of perceived lack, what you don't have, what you need to do, what you might lose. Instead, find a window, look outside, and say these words. Acknowledge the day itself as your first gift. You are grounding your entire consciousness not in scarcity, but in the fundamental reality of existence itself as a blessing. This leads to the first reflective question. Does your financial day begin with a frantic scan for problems, or with a calm acknowledgement of your foundation? The Jewish concept at play here is Hakarat Hatov, which means recognizing the good. It is an active practice. We train ourselves to see the good that is already present, because the sages teach that what you focus on, you amplify. The second blessing, Shehecheyanu on-screen text. The full blessing is often Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehecheyanu, Viki Manu, Vehijanu lazman hazeh. It means, blessed are you, who has kept us alive, sustained us, and brought us to this moment. This is the blessing for firsts. It is recited when you wear a new garment for the first time, taste a fruit for the first time in its season, or begin a new, significant endeavor. It sanctifies newness and marks a milestone with holy intention. When I signed the loan papers for my very first business, I was barely 25. My hand trembled as I signed, not with excitement, but with sheer terror. All I could think about was the debt, the risk, the 1,000 ways I could fail. Years later, my mentor asked me about that day, and I told him of my fear. He smiled gently and said, but did you bless the beginning? You were so focused on the ending, you forgot to make the start holy. It was a profound lesson. That moment of beginning was a gift in itself, of this moment that I had been brought to, and I had completely missed its sacredness. The practical application is this: when you begin something new in your financial life, consecrate it. When you sign the contract for a new client, receive the keys to a new office, or even make your first investment in a new venture, take a quiet moment. Say the Shehecheyanu. You are acknowledging the immense journey it took to arrive at this very moment, and you are inviting a spirit of blessing, not of fear, into the future of this endeavor. This brings us to our second question. Are you so focused on the potential outcome of your ventures that you forget to honor the sacredness of their beginnings? This practice connects to the mystical idea of Hiddush, or renewal. Our tradition teaches that God is constantly renewing creation. By saying this blessing, you align your own small act of creation with that divine, cosmic flow of renewal. You declare that this new venture is not just a gamble, but a participation in the world's becoming. Now we move from blessings that open our day and our endeavors to those that sanctify the very substance of our livelihood. These next two blessings reframe the way we look at the income we receive. The third blessing, Hamatzi on-screen text. The full phrase in the blessing is, Hamatzi lechem min haaretz, which means, who brings forth bread from the earth. This is the traditional blessing said over bread, the staff of life, before any meal. But its wisdom extends far beyond the dinner table. Bread is a symbol for all sustenance, for our parnassa, our livelihood. The blessing reminds us that even though we need the dough, it is the earth that provides the wheat. Even though we work hard at our jobs, our salary is drawn from a vast, interconnected marketplace on earth that we do not control. It instills a profound sense of humility and partnership. During the sharp market downturn of the early 1980s, my business was hit hard. The lavish client dinners, meant to project an image of success, disappeared overnight. My family and I had to live simply. I'll never forget the feeling of sitting down to a meal of soup and bread with my wife and children. In that moment, stripped of the pretense of wealth, I truly understood this blessing for the first time. The simple meal felt more nourishing than any steak I'd ever eaten, because it was received with pure gratitude, not as a tool for networking. I learned that true sustenance isn't about the size of the meal, but the spirit in which it's received. Here's the application for your financial life. When you receive your salary or a payment for your work, see it as your bread. Before you mentally spend or allocate a single dollar, take a moment to perform a modern hamatsi. Acknowledge that, while your labor was the instrument, the resources themselves flow from a source far greater than your own effort. You are tapping into a flow of commerce, innovation, and human need that existed long before you and will exist long after. This act transforms money from a mere number into sacred provision. And this is the reflective question for you. Do you view your income as something you have earned and are entirely entitled to, or as a provision you have received and are now responsible for stewarding? This connects to the deep Jewish understanding that while we must create a keli, a vessel, through our hard work, the light of blessing that fills it comes from the divine. The fourth blessing, Birkat Hamazon on-screen text. This is the grace after meals, a complex and beautiful series of blessings. A core line reads, Hazen et ho'olam kulo b'tuvo, b'shen b'shade yuvrashumim. This means, who nourishes the entire world with his goodness, with grace, with kindness, and with mercy. Notice the critical difference. Hamatzi is said before you partake. Birkat Hamazon is said after you are full. In our modern financial lives, we are great at the before. We plan, we strategize, we strive, but we are terrible at the after. The moment one goal is achieved, our anxious minds immediately ask, what's next? We don't pause to feel nourished by our success. A young man I mentor, a truly gifted entrepreneur, sold his first company for a life-changing sum. A week later, he came to me in a panic, already anxious about his next venture, terrified he would be a one-hit wonder. He was full, but he was starving. I taught him the principle of Birkat Hamazon. His meal was the successful exit. Now he needed to say grace. I advised him to take 3 months off, not to travel the world in a frenzy, but to sit quietly, to integrate the achievement, to feel its nourishment, and to say thank you. The practical application is to build a post-success ritual. After you land a big contract, finish a grueling project, or meet a quarterly goal, you must intentionally pause the forward momentum before you set the next objective. Schedule a moment to say grace. This could be a celebratory dinner with your team where the express purpose is to share what you're grateful for. A weekend getaway with your family to honor the sacrifice it took, or even just a quiet hour in a park to journal about the accomplishment. You must allow the success to become part of you. This leads to the question, when you achieve a goal, is your first thought what's next? Or is it thank you for this? This practice is a powerful tool for cultivating the Musar trait of savlanut, or contentment. An ungrateful soul can never be wealthy. By saying grace after you have been filled, you train your soul to recognize and rest in the abundance it already has, which, paradoxically, makes you a vessel for even more. We have blessed the beginning of our day, our new ventures, and the income we receive. Now, we go deeper, to the very source of value in the modern world, the idea, and we will connect that idea to the vast ecosystem of needs that it can serve. The fifth blessing, Shekal Nihi Bidvaro on-screen text. The translation is powerful, by whose word everything comes into being. This is a general blessing, often used for things that don't have a specific blessing of their own, but its true power lies in its literal meaning. The mystics teach that the entire universe was created through divine speech, through sacred vibrations and formulations. Before there was light, there was the word, let there be light. In our own lives, before there is a business, a product, or a service, there's an idea, a concept, a word on a page. This blessing sanctifies that primordial moment of creation. I recall the inception of my most successful venture. It didn't come from a market analysis report or a strategic planning session. It came to me during a walk in the woods, a quiet morning after a period of intense failure. The entire concept for the business seemed to land in my mind at once, a fully formed thought, a word spoken in the silence. My first and most important task was not to write a business plan, but to protect and honor that fragile, newborn idea. I nurtured it, reflected on it, and blessed it before I ever spoke of it to another soul. I knew that the idea itself was the most valuable asset the first possessed. The practical application of this is to become a guardian of inspiration. Before a brainstorming session with your team, before you sit down to write the proposal that could Change your career. Before you map out a new vision for your life, take a moment, close your eyes, quiet the analytical mind that is so quick to judge and dismiss new thoughts, and say this blessing, Shakal Nihibidvaro. You are acknowledging that true creativity flows through you, not just from you. You are creating a space for a higher wisdom to enter the room. You are treating your own creative potential as a sacred act. And so, I ask you, when you approach a new project, do you rely solely on your own intellect and effort, or do you create a sacred space for a deeper inspiration to emerge? This is the essence of aligning with the creative force of the universe itself. We are most powerful not when we are speaking, but when we are listening for the word that is waiting to be born through us. The sixth blessing, Bore Nefashit on-screen text, a beautiful and profound blessing, which means creator of many souls and their needs or deficiencies. This short blessing, said after eating simple foods, contains a complete business philosophy. It recognizes two fundamental truths. First, that the world is filled with a multitude of diverse beings, Nefashit rabbit, and second, that every single one of them has a lack or a need, Chezranan. The flow of all commerce, all value, all parnasa, comes from one thing, gracefully and effectively filling the Chezranan of the Nefashit. Early in my career, I nearly went bankrupt because I fell in love with a single product. It was a good product, but the market changed, the need for it waned, and I was left with a solution for a problem no one had anymore. It was a painful but invaluable lesson. The universe is not a monolith, it is a diverse ecosystem of souls with an infinite variety of needs. True, sustainable wealth doesn't come from a single brilliant idea, but from attuning yourself to the vast orchestra of human need and finding multiple ways to contribute. The practical application is to use this blessing as a lens for diversification and opportunity. Look at your career or your business. Are you serving only one soul? Are you reliant on a single client, a single employer, a single skill set? Recite this blessing and then take out a piece of paper. On one side, write down the needs you currently meet. On the other, brainstorm 5 other needs that exist in the world around you that you might have the capacity to meet. This isn't about frantic expansion, it is about cultivating an awareness of the world's beautiful diversity of needs. It opens your eyes to opportunities you were previously blind to. This is the reflective question. Is your financial life a monologue, serving one single need, or is it becoming a conversation, participating in the diverse needs of many? Maimonides taught that all parts of creation are interconnected. This blessing is our financial reminder of that ecological truth. By seeking to serve the many, we weave ourselves into the very fabric of universal flow. My friends, we have spoken of the external world of time, of sustenance, of ideas. Now we must turn inward to bless the 2 most essential assets you will ever possess: the body that carries you through the world and the soul that gives you your infinite worth. The 7th blessing, Asher Yatzer on-screen text. This beautiful blessing praises God, Asher Yatzer et Hadam Bakakma, which means, who formed humanity with wisdom. It is a blessing traditionally recited after caring for one's bodily needs, and it marvels at the intricate, miraculous wisdom of our physical bodies. It acknowledges that we are a system of openings and cavities, and if even one were to be improperly opened or closed, it would be impossible to exist. It is a moment of profound gratitude for the simple, silent miracle of a functioning body. In my 50s, at the absolute peak of my career, I thought I was invincible. I sacrificed sleep for deadlines, replaced meals with coffee, and treated my body like a machine that existed only to serve my ambition. Then the machine broke. A sudden health crisis put me in a hospital bed for weeks, and on the sidelines of my own life for months. Lying there, powerless, I had a terrifyingly clear realization. My entire empire, every stock, every property, every contract was utterly dependent on the simple, unglamorous miracle of my own health, an asset I had never once listed on a balance sheet. This is the practical application. You must begin to treat your health not as an expense, but as your primary asset under management. Here is a simple ritual. At the start of your workday, before you plunge into your tasks, take 30 seconds. Stand up, stretch your arms to the sky, Roll your neck. Feel the life in your limbs. As you do, recite this blessing. Give thanks for the eyes that allow you to read, the mind that allows you to problem solve, the hands that allow you to build. By consciously connecting your physical well-being to your capacity to create wealth, you will reorder your priorities. You will start to see that an hour at the gym is not an hour away from work. It is an investment in your ability to work. This is the reflective question in your financial planning. Do you list your health and well-being as your number one asset? Or is it an afterthought you'll get to when you have time? The great sage and physician Maimonides taught that caring for the body is a mitzvah, a holy obligation, because a healthy body is the only vessel through which a soul can properly function in this world. To neglect your health for wealth is, in his view, a spiritual failing. The eighth blessing, Elohai Neshama on-screen text. These are some of the first words a devout Jew says upon waking. Elohai Neshama Shenatata by Terahai. My God, the soul that you have placed within me is pure. This is perhaps the most radical and healing statement one can make in our modern world, which constantly tries to convince you that your worth is conditional. It is based on your productivity, your net worth, your title, your followers. This prayer is a declaration of spiritual independence. It says that your core essence, your Neshama, was given to you by God, and it is, and always will be, pure. It is untarnished by your failures and unenhanced by your successes. It is a constant. After I sold my largest company, I went through a period of profound disorientation. My identity had become so fused with my role as CEO that without it, I felt worthless. My self-esteem plummeted with every news article that no longer mentioned my name. It was a dark night of the soul. Saying this prayer every morning was like a rope thrown to a drowning man. Slowly, painstakingly, I learned to separate my intrinsic, God-given value from my market value. I had to learn that the purity of my soul was non-negotiable, even when my sense of self was in turmoil. Here's the practice. You must make this your anchor in the stormy seas of financial life. When you suffer a rejection, lose a major client, see an investment fail, or feel the sting of a professional setback, find a quiet moment, place your hand on your chest, feel your own heartbeat, and whisper these words. The soul you have placed within me is pure. Do not say it as an affirmation to convince yourself, but as a statement of a fact you are choosing to remember. This practice builds an unshakable inner citadel of self-worth that no market crash can ever breach. And this leads to my question for you. If you were to lose all your money and all your professional titles tomorrow, what would be the source of your self-worth? The mystics teach that our soul is a chalaka loka mimal, a literal piece of God from on high. This blessing is our daily realignment with that divine reality, our ultimate protection against the illusion that we are what we own. We have blessed the assets of body and soul. Now, we conclude our journey with two powerful blessings that govern the cycles of our financial lives: the cycle of time and intention, and the cycle of crisis and recovery. The ninth blessing, Birkat Hachodesh on-screen text. This is the blessing for the new month. A key line is Shedekadesh Aleinu at Hachodesh Hazel Tova V'Livracha, that you should renew for us this month for good and for blessing. Time, in the modern world, is often seen as a commodity to be managed, a relentless, linear race against the clock. But in Jewish wisdom, time is cyclical and sacred. Each new month presents a new beginning, a fresh page, an opportunity for renewal. This blessing is a tool to infuse the coming month with holy intention. For many years in my marriage, the first of the month was a time of tension. We would sit down to do the budget, a process that felt restrictive, filled with fear and a sense of scarcity. It was about what we couldn't do, what we had to cut back on. It was a monthly ritual of lack. One day, my wife, in her infinite wisdom, suggested we reframe it. Instead of a budget meeting, we would have a blessing meeting. On the first of each month, we began lighting a candle, pouring just small glasses of wine, and starting not with the numbers, but with this prayer. We would ask each other, what is the good and the blessing we want to cultivate with our resources this month? Perhaps it was a month for generosity, or for investing in our children's education, or for peaceful saving. The small shift transformed a dreaded chore into our most intimate and powerful strategic meeting. Here is the practical application. Reclaim the start of your month. Before you pay a single bill or analyze your cash flow, create a simple monthly ritual. It can be 5 minutes of quiet with your coffee. Recite this blessing for the new month. Then, set one financial intention for the month that is a quality, not just a quantity. Instead of just "I need to save $500, you might set the intention for a month of financial peace, which would then guide you to save that $500 not from a place of fear, but from a place of calm purpose. This elevates the act of financial management from a mechanical task to a spiritual practice. This is the reflective question. Do you manage your monthly finances from a mindset of fear and restriction, or from one of intentional creation and purpose? By sanctifying the beginning of the month, you infuse all the financial activities within it with a higher meaning. The 10th blessing, Birkat Hagamiel on-screen text. The blessing says, Hagamiel Chayavim, Tovit, Shegmalani Kol Tov, who bestows good upon the undeserving, who has bestowed upon me every goodness. This is one of the most powerful and psychologically astute blessings in our tradition. It is recited in community after one has come through a perilous situation, surviving a dangerous journey, a major illness, or being released from captivity. In our world, this is the blessing for having survived a financial storm. I remember the dot-com crash in 2000. It was a bloodbath. I saw people who were paper millionaires one day be wiped out the next. My own business hung by a thread for what felt like an eternity. When we finally made it through, battered and humbled but alive, the feeling wasn't triumph. It was a quiet, trembling gratitude. I gathered my senior team, the few who had stayed through the terror, and I didn't give them a speech. I simply told them we were in peril, and now we are delivered. And I said this blessing. It was a sacred moment of acknowledging the abyss we had stared into and the grace that had allowed us to step back from the edge. Here is how you must use this in your life. After you overcome a great financial challenge, paying off a significant debt, finding a new job after a layoff, saving your business from collapse, you must not simply move on. You must mark your deliverance. The ancient practice was to do it publicly, in a synagogue. Your synagogue might be a dinner table. Take your partner, or a dear friend, or your mentor out to a meal. Tell them the story of the struggle, and then tell them you have come through. Recite the blessing. This act does two things. It solidifies your own gratitude and prevents you from taking your new stability for granted. And it shares your story of resilience, giving strength to others. This is the question. When you overcome a financial struggle, do you quickly bury the memory and move on? Or do you pause to honor your resilience and express gratitude for your deliverance? By marking our survival, we turn our scars into maps for others to follow, transforming personal pain into communal wisdom. So there we have it. 10 sacred keys, 10 ancient technologies for reframing our relationship with wealth and cultivating true abundance. I understand that receiving all of this at once can feel like being given a large, intricate map. You can appreciate its beauty, but you may wonder, where do I even begin my journey? The goal is not to become overwhelmed, but to become intentional. The wisdom of our tradition is not about adding more burdens to your day, but about infusing the moments you already have with deeper meaning and power. Let's make this practical. I do not suggest you try to incorporate all 10 blessings tomorrow. That would be like trying to learn an entire symphony in one afternoon. Instead, I want you to become the conductor of your own life and choose just a few instruments to master. First, I invite you to join me in what I call the 21-Day Blessing Challenge. The science of habit formation tells us that it takes about 3 weeks to create a new neural pathway, to make a new practice feel like second nature. For the next 21 days, I want you to choose just 3 of these blessings, the 3 that spoke most directly to your heart, the ones that address a place in your life where you feel the most lack or the most longing. Perhaps you need to start your day from a place of inner worth, so you'll choose Elohai Neshama, my soul is pure. Maybe you are about to launch a new venture, so you'll focus on Shihacheanu for this new moment. Or perhaps you are recovering from a difficult time, and you need to practice Birkat Hagamiel, gratitude for deliverance. Choose your 3. Then, for 21 days, commit to finding a moment to say them with intention. And I urge you, keep a small journal. Nothing complicated, just a few lines each day. Today I practiced blessing name, and I noticed. You may notice an external shift and unexpected opportunity, a kind word from a colleague. But I suspect the most profound changes you will document will be internal. A little less anxiety, a little more creativity, a deeper sense of peace when you look at your bank statement. Use the hashtag blessing challenge in the comments below to share which 3 blessings you've chosen. Now, I can hear the skeptic in some of you. It's a voice I know. Well, it lived in my own head for many years. Solomon, this is a lovely sentiment, but how can words really change my financial reality? It is a fair question. Let me be clear, these blessings are not magic spells. They are tools of focus. Think of it this way, your mind is like a garden. If you spend all your time looking for weeds, you will find an abundance of them. If you train your attention to look for the first signs of blossoms, you will start to see them everywhere. These blessings are a way of training your focus. When you begin your day acknowledging that your soul is pure, you are less likely to make decisions from a place of insecurity. When you bless your income as sustenance, you are more likely to treat it with respect and wisdom. This isn't mysticism, it is profound psychology. The sages and the neuroscientists are simply arriving at the same truth from different directions. Your state of being determines your perception of reality, and your perception of reality determines the actions you take. I want you to feel empowered to make this practice your own. If the Hebrew feels unfamiliar, use the English translation. If the concept of God is one you struggle with, then address the blessing to the universe, to the source of life, to the deep wisdom within you. The power is in the principle, shifting from ego to humility, from fear to gratitude, from scarcity to sufficiency. Whether you are an entrepreneur building a company, an employee seeking a promotion, an artist trying to fund your creative work, or a retiree trying to find peace with what you have, these principles are the bedrock. Adapt them, personalize them, but practice them. Build your house on this rock, and you will find it can withstand any storm. We have reached the end of our time together today, but it is my deepest hope that for you, this is just the beginning of a new chapter. The world will tell you that abundance is something you must chase, capture, and hoard. But the timeless wisdom of our ancestors teaches us that true abundance, true barakah, is a state of being that you cultivate. It is the quiet confidence that you are provided for, the deep well of gratitude for what you have, and the open-hearted creativity you bring to the world. These 10 blessings are not just words, they are tuning forks for the soul, designed to help you resonate with that frequency of grace. This is a practice of remembering the wealth you already possess, a body that functions, a soul that is pure, a new day, a new month, the food on your table. As you begin to acknowledge these foundational blessings, you will find that the universe has a beautiful way of entrusting more to those who are grateful for what they already have. I have 2 invitations for you as we part. First, please share your wisdom with our community. Which one of these 10 blessings spoke to you most powerfully, and why? Let us know in the comments below. Your story, your insight, could be the spark that illuminates the path for someone else. Second, if you are serious about taking the 21-day blessing challenge, I want to support you. I have created a simple PDF guide with all 10 blessings, their meanings, and a printable journal page to help you track your progress. It is my gift to you. You can download it for free using the link in the description. Next week, we will continue our journey together as I share 10 timeless Jewish rituals for peace, ancient practices to bring stillness and sanctuary into our often chaotic modern lives. If you have found a measure of value in our time together, I invite you to subscribe and join our community. Let us walk this road from scarcity to abundance, from fear to freedom, together. May your days be filled with blessing, and may you have the wisdom to recognize it. Shalom.